We're back with another update, and once again, it seems like Nicki Minaj is throwing shade at Cardi B. Cardi's track Imaginary Players pulled in 3.8 million on-demand US streams in its first 4 days after release. That's what was officially reported. But here's the comparison everyone's talking about: Nicki Minaj's Super Freaky Girl. Even though Nicki herself said there's technically no lead single for Pink Friday 2, fans treat this record like the main one. And the numbers back it up. Super Freaky Girl landed straight at number 13 on the global Polyfy chart with 3 million streams just from Polyfy alone. Now, when you put those numbers side by side, Cardi's 3.8 million feels a little shaky, especially since her total came from multiple platforms combined across the first week. That's not the strongest look. Here's the bigger issue, though. A lot of people feel like the reason the song didn't take off is simple. It just doesn't have replay value. Even in my honest review, I said the track sounded like Cardi was chasing the beat instead of owning it. And when fans don't feel that natural flow, they don't come back to hit replay. But there's more to it. Cardi may have hurt herself by taking shots at too many female rappers all in one record. She called out Saweetie, Ice Spice, JT, and Bia all together. And even if their fan bases aren't massive compared to hers, it sends the wrong message. It makes it seem like Cardi wants to put herself above them instead of supporting the same women she claims to stand with. At the end of the day, that girls supporting girls image starts to look fake when you diss other women for no clear reason. And if we're being real, JT, for example, didn't even do anything to Cardi in the first place. Even when it comes to Ice Spice, the truth is, she didn't really do much to Cardi. Sure, maybe she slipped in a little sneak diss on a track, but nothing serious enough to deserve the kind of shots Cardi threw back. And with Saweetie, okay, we know the history. People say she allegedly messed around with Offset, so fine, that's personal. But beyond Saweetie and maybe Bia, the extra disses toward JT and Ice Spice just felt unnecessary. When you go after too many people at once, it doesn't come across as confidence, it comes across as arrogance. It makes it seem like you're putting yourself on a pedestal above everyone else, without actually having the talent or the catalog to back that attitude up. And in the end, it's like Cardi ended up hurting her own image by trying to crown herself the queen of rap, when, clearly, the audience doesn't see her that way. Then there's this whole pregnancy rumor situation. Cardi herself fueled the buzz when she tweeted, "But am I?" in response to speculation, right after posting a video where her stomach was noticeably sticking out. Now here's the thing. Cardi has built her whole brand on clowning other people for their looks. So when she steps out looking messy, it hits different. Walking around with a bulky stomach, after all the surgery she's admitted to having, doesn't match the image she's always trying to sell. If she really is pregnant, then fine, that explains it. But if not, then honestly, it's not a good look. The way her body looked in that clip had people saying she looked 3 months pregnant. And considering she loves to throw shade at Nicki Minaj and other women over their appearance, it makes her come across as hypocritical. Fans have pointed out that right after giving birth, her stomach didn't even look like that. This change happened more recently, and it just doesn't look flattering on someone who constantly drags others for the same things. Cardi was quick to call out Nicki for her arms, but at this point people are flipping it back on her. They're saying, if Nicki has arms, Cardi's got the stomach. Now let's switch gears to Doja Cat, because she just announced a world tour overseas, with pre-sales kicking off this Monday. And listen, that's exciting and all, but fans in the US are already frustrated. Doja, you better not skip over your American fans this time. We don't have the patience for another situation where you only perform overseas and leave the US out. People are already joking. If you don't put some US tour dates on the schedule quickly and without delay, fans are saying you deserve 50,000 lashes. Obviously, it's exaggeration, but that's how strongly people feel. The point is, the US needs to be included, and before anyone says, well, she just toured the US in 2023, let's clear that up. Yes, she did, but that was during the Scarlet era. A new album is on the way, and with that comes a new chapter. Look at Beyoncé, for example. Queen Bey tours the US constantly. Even if she was here 2 years ago, she still makes sure her American fans get a show the next time around. That's the standard fans expect, and Doja has to deliver the same energy. So here's where I stand. I'll give Doja the benefit of the doubt, at least until the new album officially drops. But the second it comes out, if there are no US dates announced, then yeah, fans are going to have a real problem with that. Reports are now coming in about Cardi B's latest single Imaginary hit, and it looks like the track will debut somewhere around number 68 on the Hot 100. Now that's slightly better than what people were expecting, because early predictions had it entering in the 80s. Still, let's be real here. For an artist of Cardi's level, that's far from impressive. We're talking about someone who already has a Grammy under her belt, plus 5 number 1 hits. Someone who proudly claimed that her songs live in the top 10. But looking at these numbers, that statement just doesn't hold up anymore. This new track isn't in the top 10. Her previous singles haven't been living there either. And when we say living, that means staying put. Weeks after weeks, months after months, dominating the charts. Cardi's recent work simply hasn't done that. So yeah, this is not the kind of debut you'd expect from someone who's constantly talking about her chart success. Fans are already joking about handing her 50,000 lashes for this flop. And honestly, if the song doesn't climb into the top 40 by next week, the criticism is only going to get louder. Because here's the thing, Cardi was the one talking big on that record. She literally said, "My flop is not your flop." But a flop is still a flop, no matter how you try to spin it. There's no such thing as a better flop. And when this is supposed to be your lead single, the track that sets the tone for a new era, debuting at 68 with a major label and heavy promo behind you, that doesn't look good at all. At this point, Cardi's going to have to face accountability for all the bold claims she made in that song, because the numbers just aren't backing her up. Now let's talk about Doechii, because news just broke that she's canceled several of her scheduled European festival performances. No reason was given for the cancellations, and naturally fans are upset. But let's clear something up. This isn't her personal tour she's pulling out of, so it has nothing to do with poor ticket sales. These are festivals, which usually feature multiple artists sharing the spotlight. In most cases, Doechii wouldn't have even been the sole headliner. So while fans are disappointed, there might actually be a silver lining here. Maybe she's stepping back to put more focus on her upcoming project. And honestly, that's where her energy needs to be. No shade at all, but it's time for Doechii to deliver a strong, polished album. Yes, she has a Grammy, and that's an achievement nobody can take away. But numbers don't lie, and her last mixtape opened with only 11,000 first-week sales. That's pretty underwhelming for someone with her level of buzz. If canceling these shows means she's locking in at the studio to create that breakout hit, then it's probably the smartest move she could make right now. Because truthfully, a lot of fans weren't really connecting with tracks like Anxiety. It didn't hit the way it should have, so hopefully this pause is exactly what she needs to regroup, reset, and come back stronger. Now let's get into this new list that Complex just dropped, because they've stirred up some conversations with their picks for the best rappers currently in their 20s. And just to be clear, this list is only for artists who are still in their 20s, nobody older. Here's how the ranking goes. They placed Playboi Carti at number 1. And honestly, I don't know if I agree with that at all. At number 2, they've got Doechii, then Yate comes in at number 3. Glorilla landed in 4th, while Big X The Plug took the 5th spot. At 6, they listed Central C, followed by Youngboy Never Broke Again at 7, and Ken Carson at 8. Then we've got Latto at 9, and Lil Tecca rounding out the top 10. From there, the list keeps going. Dola at 11, Sababi at 12, Sexy Red at 13, Rod Wave at 14, and Lil Yachty at 15. They put G Herbo at 16, though honestly I had to double-check because I didn't even realize he's still in his 20s. Then we've got Lucky at 17, Cash Cobain at 18, Too Rare at 19, and Nino Paid finishing things off at 20. Now here's my take. I don't listen to most of these artists, so for me personally, this list doesn't really hit. Out of everyone on here, the only ones I keep up with are Dola, Glorilla, and Lil Tecca. Maybe a little bit of Doechii here and there. But outside of that, it's a chop for me. And that's really the thing with these lists. They're always controversial because music taste is so personal. One person's number 1 is another person's skip button. To me, Complex just threw together a bunch of hot names without much thought, because half these placements don't even make sense when you compare their catalogs, their influence, or even their numbers. It just feels like they're putting out lists for the sake of clicks at this point. So yeah, if it were up to me, I wouldn't care much about this ranking at all. Everyone else on that list? I don't give a damn. Now let's move on to Tyla, because she's making headlines for all the wrong reasons. She was recently caught so drunk that she had to be carried out to her car. She was basically passed out, looking sloppy, and of course, the cameras caught everything. Instead of laying low after the embarrassment, Tyla decided to make light of the situation by posting an old picture of Beyoncé from years ago, back when Bey was in her 20s and rumored to have gotten drunk at an event. She shared it on both Instagram and Twitter, as if to say, hey, even Queen Bey had her moments. But here's the issue with Tyla. A lot of people feel like she's trying too hard to force an image. She comes across like she's studying the blueprint of Rihanna's early days. Remember when Rihanna was in her 20s, wild, reckless, and living her best life? She was always photographed stumbling out of clubs, high, drunk, and not caring what anyone thought. That became part of her brand, and it felt authentic because that's who Rihanna was at the time. With Tyla, it doesn't feel authentic. Passing. Out drunk in public just makes her look sloppy, and then doubling down by trying to play it off with a Beyoncé comparison? It's giving staged. It feels like she wants people to see her as this carefree, edgy party girl, when in reality, it's coming across like a calculated move to grab attention, especially when you remember her latest EP didn't perform well. A lot of fans are saying she's trying to build some kind of rebellious personality to make up for the fact that the music isn't sticking. And honestly, this could backfire. Rihanna could get away with that lifestyle in her 20s because she had the hits to back it up. She was delivering chart-topping records at the same time she was making headlines for her wild nights. Tyla doesn't have that catalog yet. If she leans too heavily into this fake Rihanna 2.0 image without giving fans actual hit records, people are just going to clown her instead of respecting her. Not only that, but for her culture and her audience, this kind of staged, reckless behavior isn't going to fly. It doesn't look organic. It doesn't look real. It looks like a staged humiliation ritual just for clicks. And if that's the strategy, it's the wrong one. Tyla needs to focus on the music, because acting, drunk and sloppy for attention, won't get her the same love Rihanna used to get. Now let's talk about Thee Stallion, because this latest update is messy. So Wackademics, yes, DJ Academics, revealed that he got subpoenaed. Same with Adin Ross, who's already controversial for his own reasons. Megan allegedly believes that Young Money, Champagne Thick Hams, you know who that is, and Nicki Minaj are out here paying blogs to push narratives against her. Academics said during his deposition that most of the questions weren't even about Megan. Instead, they were asking him about Tory Lanez, Champagne Thickums, and Nicki Minaj. He even joked about it like, you sure Drake ain't paying you? You sure Nicki ain't paying the blogs? Did Tory send you money on Cash App? Clearly he wasn't, taking it too seriously. But here's my thing about Megan, and this is something I've noticed for a while. No shade to the hotties, but she comes off a little narcissistic. She seems to think that every negative story about her must be part of some conspiracy where the big names in rap are paying people off. But in reality, a lot of blogs and people just don't like her. It's not that deep. Sometimes it's not. Payola is just public opinion. Look around. Academics doesn't like her. Joe Budden has had his issues with her. Even other gossip pages have been shady. And to be honest, Megan herself doesn't always move in the most likable way. She still struggles to accept the fact that plenty of people simply don't believe her side of the Tory Lanez situation. She lied in that Gayle King interview. She lied to the police. Yes, she told the truth on the stand, but by then, the damage to her credibility was already done. So when people question her or don't believe her, it's not always because someone is paying them off. Sometimes Megan is just unlikable to certain people. That's the reality. And honestly, I don't think Drake or Nicki needs to waste money paying academics to dislike her. He does that for free. Now let me circle back to Wackademics real quick, because the way he rides for Champagne Thick Hams is actually embarrassing. Drake won't even hop on stream with him. Champagne Thick Hams will do a stream with Adin Ross, but not Academics. And yet Ak is still his #1 cheerleader. That's wild. And let's not forget, Nicki Minaj does not mess with Academics. She unfollowed him ages ago, and there was a time when he dragged her for absolute filth. The only reason he calmed down on Nicki is because she went against Devil Nation, and his loyalty to Drake lined up with that. Otherwise, he never liked her. Let's be real, he's a puppet. Drake pulls the strings and Ak dances. Now, moving on to Addison Rae, the least talented pop star in the industry right now, maybe tied with Selena Gomez on a bad day. She had the nerve to call out the VMAs saying, It's definitely funny when you feel like you put in a lot of work into something and it doesn't get recognized. Girl, shut up. 50,000 lashes. What category are they supposed to nominate you for? Best whisper in a song? Because that's all you do. You're trying to copy Billie Eilish and Lana Del Rey's whole sleepy whisper style, but it's not giving. Not when the actual pop girlies, Billie, Taylor, Ariana, Sabrina Carpenter, even Tate McRae, are all out selling you, out singing you, and putting out better visuals. This is not TikTok. The VMAs are about artistry, performance, presence, and you don't have it. Maybe try the Streamy Awards, because music is not your lane. You cannot compete with the music videos these other girls put out. What are you talking about, Addison? Stop it. You running in the grass with a cheap filter. Anybody can do that on an iPhone. And y'all hype up these TikTok artists same way you did with Coi Leray, then act shocked when they flop. You cannot compete with their budgets, their sales, or their actual talent. So why are you asking about nominations? Girl, this is not the TikTok Awards. This is the Video Music Awards. No flisters should even be in the conversation. And speaking of the VMAs, they're also getting 50,000 lashes because they decided to give the Video Vanguard Award to the Queen of Christmas herself, Mariah Carey. Now listen, Mariah is an icon. She's a legend. Nobody is taking that away. But the Vanguard Award always comes with a performance, and Mariah cannot perform in 2025. Let's be real. On stage these days, she does a lot of slow walking, maybe a little shimmy, and plenty of lip syncing. Very stiff. Very, I'm 70 years old, leave me alone. And no shade, but we all saw her at the BET Awards looking like a mannequin that needed oiling. I was begging for somebody to escort her off stage. So if the VMAs want this Vanguard performance to actually work, they should scrap Mariah performing herself and have the girls pay tribute. Call Ariana Grande, call Adele, call Demi Lovato, actual vocalists who can move and keep the energy alive. Honestly, Ariana should have gotten the award this year anyway. Or even Charlie XCX. No shade to Mariah, but if you can't perform, you don't need to be doing an 8-minute stiff shuffle on live television.